Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Annie. I've been wanting to make this video for a while now. I am just going to talk about my depression journey. I not only have major depressive disorder, but also generalized anxiety disorder and inattentive type of ADHD. And the purpose of this is to spread awareness of depression and mental illness in general. So I will be sharing some of the symptoms that at the time I didn't really realize what was happening to me, but now have been so apparent that it was due to the depression, due to the anxiety. And I also just wanted to add that I am an avid mental health advocate. I am chasing my passion of mental health nursing. That's something that I'm really excited about. My story starts in about 8th grade. I want to say 13 or 14, I think. I already began having periods of intense sadness, and I felt like I was down a lot. This is regular people, and my mood was just right here, down here, kind of all the time, but not to the point where I couldn't manage it at all. By no means. I could manage it. In fact, when I'm with other people, like my friends at school or with my family, it'll just be like I'm normal, right? I noticed myself that I had become very dark in the sense that I gravitated towards horror, I gravitated towards dark poetry, I enjoyed dark humor and gore and things like that. I would even start to wear all black because, I don't know, I felt like it kind of expressed how I felt on the inside outwardly. That's kind of when it started. I noticed my moods going down, but it was very it wasn't like I couldn't handle it. Then going into high school, so now I'm like 15, 16, right? There are these periods of time where I struggle with my own identity, my own sense of style, like who I actually am as a person, my individuality, and that has pretty much had a huge toll on my mental health as well. So I would go from like being a very bubbly person and wearing skirts and being dressing very feminine to, again, like middle school, going back to wearing all black and being really down and thinking very negatively, and just I felt like I belonged in the darkness. So yeah, it's kind of like a up and down roller coaster, like me trying to find myself, I guess. And that is pretty normal for when you're a teenager, right? But then I would notice I had these severe lows. So you have your highs and lows, but now I'm constantly low. And in my freshman year of high school, when I was 15, my siblings and I were diagnosed with long QT syndrome, which is a congenital heart disorder, and we were all admitted to the hospital on the same floor. That was a huge change for us. To be frank, that didn't really drain me mentally. I was just kind of like, yeah, this is really happening. But what did scare me the most was the episodes that my sister had. She had seizure-like episodes due to the long QT. She fell down, she lost consciousness, and witnessing both of those, I was so scared. I was scared for her life, and that just left me with so much anxiety, I would say. And this whole experience has got me to appreciate life more and also pursue medicine. What was I saying? Right, so we got diagnosed with that heart disorder. Then the rest of my high school experience was just full of okay times with very low lows. And then you mix in the whole mess of relationships and everything, and I really got messed up, like my soul. I think I've been hurt a lot in terms of relationships, and I don't mean to be victimizing or anything, but I truly believe I just feel everything so intensely. So when it comes to love, it's intense, and when it comes to being sad, it's very intense as well. So kind of like the two spectrums, I feel so much. And then at one point, I think I kind of bottled everything inside, and emotions had no way to escape. And I think that's kind of what led to my depression getting worse. At least that's what my therapist told me. But it makes sense though, right? It's really not good to bottle up all your feelings. Like, you have to have a support system. You have to talk about these things. You have to let it out so it doesn't just all get trapped inside and has nowhere to go. And somewhere along the way in high school, I started self-harming. And if you ask me now, I don't really know how to describe my own reasoning for it, other than the fact that I kind of started feeling so much sadness and darkness that I wanted to feel something else, like physical pain. I didn't really understand what was going on at that time, and all of the emotions were just so intense, but I still kept it hidden from my family, my friends, just everyone basically. Kept it all in here. I had no coping skills, and I guess that was one of them, which is an abnormal one, to say the least. I started self-injuring my wrists, like here, this area of the arm. I do not have any scars. They have since healed. It's because I did not engage in cutting, rather I engaged in using a sharp object to kind of break the skin and abrade the skin while feeling that intense pain. And I would do that sometimes sitting in the darkness of my room after a long crying session, just crying in the dark, hugging a pillow, and then I could go to sleep. Like, that became my ritual. It really truly was a dark and lonely time. It would have scarring for a month or two, but eventually it went away because they were like superficial abrasions, not deep into the epidermal layer. So yes, they did heal, but at that time they definitely left dark scarring on the arm, on the wrist. So I would have to wear long sleeves even in the summer when it was hot, and I would be so careful when I was washing my hands or doing the dishes so that nobody would see. But I remember I took a trip to Minnesota in 2017 with my family. My sister found the scarring on my arm. She saw the marks and was like, "What the heck is that?" My parents found out that night. I cried a lot. I didn't want to talk about it. I still didn't want to talk about my feelings at all. I just cried and that's it. And they're asking me, "Why would you do this? Like why? Like, what's going on?" I know I hurt them, and I feel really badly about that. And I really, truly never meant for anyone to find out. I didn't want anyone to see it. It was just my only coping mechanism at that time because I had no other ones. At that time, my dad wanted to bring me to see a doctor about it. I don't know why, but I was very hesitant. I chose not to go. That was my own bad because he gave me that choice, right? Looking back, I really should have gone then. But also, like, coming from a Chinese household, I was so scared of people finding out. I just think I was really scared of the stigma. Then throughout high school, my self-harming was seldom, I would say. Sometimes I would do it like where nobody would see, like right below the groin area, like the upper thigh. I would also do my lower abdomen. Same thing, I just couldn't cope with the intense sadness I was feeling, and that was my only escape, I would say. And it truly became like a ritual. It was like this one thing I can control, hurting myself in this way, when I couldn't control the depression hurting me in here. Now flash forward to university. I started nursing school. Now I don't know if I am going to make a video on this, but I have made the difficult decision to leave bedside nursing. I have done bedside for 6 months only, but I am deciding to leave for the sake of my own mental health. As you can see, prioritizing mental health is so important to me now. The reason I bring that up right now is that I truly believe nursing school, going through clinicals and all of that, really cascaded or catalyzed my anxiety disorder. When I was talking about my whole high school years, it was always depressive episodes. I didn't necessarily have anxiety, not at all, I would say. Maybe just I got scared when I had to do presentations at school. University, however, I got full-blown anxiety. I would have anxiety attacks. I'm not too sure if they were panic attacks, but they definitely had physiological symptoms. My heart felt like it was racing, and my breathing got shallow and fast, and it felt like I couldn't get enough air into my lungs, and I would just start hyperventilating. I realized my anxiety is just getting out of control. I saw my school therapist, which was virtual, but I only had a limited number of sessions provided for students. But after my last session, I was supposed to, find my own way to my own therapist or something, but I chose not to continue that because I felt like I didn't really like being so vulnerable like that, and I just felt like therapy wasn't for me. And that again might have not been the right decision because I would continue to get severe anxiety every night before and every morning before going into clinical for nursing, and I would have to drive long commutes to the hospital. I literally got placed at hospitals that were the furthest away from my house, and I already get anxiety driving, waking up so early, like 4:30 in the morning, driving especially in the winter time to a hospital, and then doing the whole entire clinical day. And I was terrified, and I don't know what I was getting myself into for nursing school, and I felt like it wasn't for me, and that only gave me more anxiety. So everything was just kind of snowballing, and I can't even comprehend how bad it was. With time, they definitely got better. I would say I had the most attacks when I was in junior year of university, and then senior year of nursing school was much better. I was kind of just powering through it. I still got anxiety going to clinical, of course, but I was just grinding because I really wanted to finish. So then I graduate nursing school, yay. I go to travel with my boyfriend and then with my family, and then I came back and took the NCLEX, as anxious as ever, and then the whole job search begins, and I'm obviously stressed out, and I think that kind of just triggered another depressive episode. I was talking to a therapist at that time that was part of an EAP program because I was working part-time at Starbucks. To be very honest, I did not like this therapist. They thought that the whole entire problem was just me graduating and job searching, and the stress was getting to me. And although that was completely true, I do not deny that at all. But I had this long history of having these depressive episodes, and I kind of just really wanted to talk about my feelings more than anything else. But they thought that it was just job search. If I found a job, this whole thing will go away. So each session, they would just ask me about how's the job search going, and then start recommending all of these community health centers, or maybe you can be a resource nurse, or that's really good for a new nurse, you can do this, you can do that. And although I really appreciate that help, that's not what I wanted to talk about necessarily. Sure, it was good to touch upon, but I really just wanted to talk about how I'm feeling, And they did most of the talking. And then I finally went to see a psychiatrist, and this has been what this whole video is leading up towards. It's psychiatry. It's medication management. My psychiatrist is like, they're not my best friend, you know? They're not gonna be your bestie. Certainly not for me. It's kind of just like, I'll prescribe your meds, just go. I'm kidding, not really. My psychiatrist is the one who diagnosed me with major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and ADHD inattentive type. And I started seeing them just this year in 2024. Navigating this is all new to me. They started me on fluoxetine, which is also known as Prozac. It's an SSRI, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And basically the outcome is to increase serotonin levels in here, in your brain, so that your mood could be more elevated. They prescribed this one in particular because it was good for not only depression but also anxiety. I was skeptical about it kind of working just because, I don't know, I never tried it before. I didn't know what was gonna happen. And after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I started seeing a very slow, gradual increase in my mood. Probably by the, I'd say like 4 or 5 week mark, maybe, I saw a really great increase. I felt like my mood had been the best that it's ever been in my whole life, and I felt the joy of a child again. Like if depression was an overcast hanging on your head all the time, or like casting a shadow on you so that I'm not in control anymore, I'm just but a mere shadow. If depression was that, then this medication lifted that veil, and I felt like I can actually feel all this love, could love and be loved so willingly. It truly changed my life. I know Prozac might not help for everyone because everyone is different, but this truly helped me. The only thing is that when I increased the dosage of Prozac under my psychiatrist's direction, a horrible side effect I had from the dose increase was full out anxiety attack. I would say that was a panic attack. I had that at work, girl. I was at work at the hospital, my unit. I start crying, I start hyperventilating. I have to grab a coworker and go to the supply room, and I start crying. I start bawling my eyes out, saying, I don't know what's happening. Like I think I'm having a panic attack. Like I recently increased my Prozac. Like I can't even comprehend what is going on in here. But I was just crying like crazy. I was still in orientation at that time, so I was able to go home, but it was truly horrifying. I was very embarrassed. I was pretty ashamed of that, and it kept happening for the remainder of the week. I also called in sick the next day. I could not make it into work and safely take care of patients. After the anxiety, I had the worst depression I've ever had in my life. I'm crying all the time, and nothing mattered. Nothing really mattered to me anymore. And I know I'm like talking about how great Prozac has helped me, but then the side effect is so intense as well. It's so profound. But eventually I got over that. And at first, when I was in the midst of that, I thought the medication's not working. I just went right back into depression. Well, no. When you start antidepressants, for most antidepressants, they will actually have a side effect that will make your mood worse, which sounds like total like what? But it's true, and that's why people should really be educated about this, is because you know that it's temporary. It's to be expected, and it should go away. It was so profound for me that I was freaking out, at the same time depressed, but it eventually went away. It took like 3 weeks for it to fully go away. After it did go away, I again felt lifted, like the veil was taken off and I could see again. And that is where I'm at now. And I'm very thankful that the Prozac is working. But I do have to admit that I am very much terrified to increase my dose and have that happen again, because it was truly so horrible. I do have an appointment with my psychiatrist coming up soon, so maybe I will have an update, but for now I am just taking the same dose that was prescribed months ago. I feel fine for the most part. The only thing is that my anxiety is still there. It's still like I get fidgety a lot. I get really anxious at little things. Sometimes I wake up anxious and I'm a true overthinker and all of that. For the depression aspect, it's helped me tremendously, and that is the reason I can't recommend enough for people experiencing depression to go and seek help from professionals. I mean, I feel like I've been given my life back. This whole time I was just kind of a walking body, but my soul was elsewhere, nowhere to be found. And that's not all the time, but that was a lot of the time. And I used to look at the sky a lot when I was depressed and just think that nothing mattered at that moment. At that time, nothing really did matter to me. But now when I look at the sky, I am filled with a childish joy. Like, look, it's the sky. Like, it's so blue. Nature. All these years that I've been so sad and so stuck in the dark, I felt like I would be trapped forever. And I'm so eternally grateful to be able to access this mental health care and my medications that really helped me become a normal person. And I really want to keep advocating for others as well and encourage people to share their stories, because the only way that stigma is going to change is if we spread awareness and educate more and have more of those difficult conversations with people and let people know that you're there for them. Okay, I think I'm done going on and on and on about my story now. Sorry, it was kind of like all over the place. I truly hope this helped provide some insight. Maybe you're also going through a similar situation or are thinking about medication management as well, or you're just interested in mental health in general. Thank you for watching if you made it this far, and as always, stay well. Bye!